Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to JMac Sports Cards. My name is Jason. Thanks for tuning in. As I stated a couple videos ago, I'm trying to do some interesting things in the hobby here that benefit collectors and people in the hobby, not just kind of regurgitate the same content that everyone is doing. And today, have the honor and privilege to have on an owner of an up and coming site that's hopefully going to be a competitor to eBay. It's buysportscards.com. It's a place strictly dedicated. There's a lot of sites, Macari, eBay, there, which are, sort of auction houses, and you can sell anything. This one is 100% dedicated to sports cards. That's why I think it's very unique and has some unique features. And there's a lot to talk about here with this platform and this site. So what we'll do is we'll bring on the owner and the founder of buysportscard.com, Connor Walden. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you on. I appreciate you taking the time here, coming on the channel, and yeah, talking about your app here. So buysportscards.com. What did you feel like was the need to build another platform that was be a competitor to some of these others?
Sure. Yeah. So you did a great job. I'm the CEO and founder of buysportscards.com. One of the things I also think is really important in understanding why we built BSC in the first place is I'm also a collector and I own a local card store in St. Louis, Missouri. And so, through my experience both with buying and selling, I've been able to use some of the other sites that are out there. And, there's really no motivation better for wanting to do something as hard as what we've done in building a site from scratch than wanting to use it yourself. And so, as I mentioned, I've sold on a lot of sites, I've bought on a lot of sites, and at times the experience can be very frustrating in a lot of different ways. Not just necessarily the policies that the sites have, but also the user experience is not always as friendly as I think that it could be. And so, I thought that there was an opportunity here on the low to mid end of the sports card market to really reinvent on what a marketplace could be, provide tools that make it much easier for both buyers and sellers to do commerce online. And so we ultimately thought through the experiences that I had, both as a collector and somebody that owns a store, as well as some of the technical expertise of good friends of mine, that we could do a better job. And so we decided to build buysportscards.com for that reason.
Very nice. I'll throw it up here as we're chatting. So this is the site. It's scrolling across the bottom. It's buysportscards.com, the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. They're all up there as well. So I noticed today I went over and followed you on those platforms, and pretty good following on those as well so far. So I was pretty impressed with
Thank you.
what's cool. Yeah, yeah. So and then you also have a YouTube channel as well, right?
Yeah, so we've not been using the YouTube a ton right now, but I think that we'll start doing some more instructional videos and things like that to get people more used to using the site and some of the tools that we've created for them.
Yeah, I think that would be fabulous because you could link them here on your site as well. Because
Yep.
here off camera before we got going, you were showing me some of the features on how it works. Some of those would be great to have just little short 1 minute, like tutorials.
Yep.
So that's cool. Let's see. So at present, you have 0% seller fees. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So we can definitely hop into that. So one of the things people always ask us kind of right now is about the monetization of the site. So currently it's not monetized at all. So we don't have any advertisements on the site. We're not charging a seller fee. There's no membership fee. We're not charging buyers. We're not selling data or anything like that. Really, the biggest thing for me, and I knew this from the beginning, is people, even if it's not the best experience, people typically get used to what they're doing. And so you've got to offer them a reason to try something new. And our belief is by having the 0% seller fees, it's really great for getting people's attention. But once they get on the site, it's really the quality of what we've built and the tools that we've given them as a seller, as well as the experience that they have as a buyer. Because a lot of people are both sides of this marketplace, as you know, they not only buy cards but they're also selling them. And so by having no fees, it's really a way to get people through the door. But ultimately, if the product wasn't good, then people wouldn't stay. So it's just a really easy way to say, we think we've done a good job. We think that we offer some valuable tools. Feel free to get on. There's no cost to you. If you don't like it, then that's fine. But like I said, once we see people get on the site and start to use it, they really do enjoy the experience. And I think that the 0% seller fee sweetens the pot on any sales that they're making. But they're just kind of glad that it was something to entice them enough to kind of get up and try something new.
Yeah, and I've been kind of perusing the site, and there's there are some sellers up here with quite a lot of inventory for sure.
Yep.
Um, and there's quite a few cool features. We'll get into some of those. I have the search still there. Frank Thomas 97 insert. Let's go ahead and click that. And you were telling me and teaching me how to use it and showing me that typically this toggle button is set to on, I guess by default. So it'll
Yep.
be the only items that are in stock for Frank Thomas 97 inserts. But if
Correct.
if you flip it to off, then it pulls up basically every Frank Thomas insert from 97, so you can use it sort of to see all of the inserts and parallels of different players, and you can see that there's quite a few pages of inserts in 97 for Frank Thomas. So this is a neat feature. So you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, so I think that you've kind of started to get warmer on to kind of how we, I think, have found a way to provide a better experience. So one of the things that we've done is basically by having data as the foundation of the website, we've been able to organize listings for both buyers and sellers to make it more convenient. And so by having a database of about 15 million cards and having a lot of stock images associated with those, it allows for us to basically bucket the listings together. So on eBay, when you'd go through and you'd search for a 2022 Shohei Ohtani base card, you would be able to see hundreds of listings associated with that card. And that was always frustrating to me because now you've got to go click into all these listings to see the photos, to see the seller's feedback, to read the description about the condition. And it makes it a really monotonous process when you're trying to find the one that's right for you. And so, what we've done is by having kind of the cards in their individual buckets, any listings associated with that card is going to be in one spot. So if you wouldn't mind just searching, like I said, 2022 Shohei Ohtani base tops. And the other thing too, well, you can keep typing. Well, but while we have this data organized like this, it alleviates a lot of the mess that kind of an eBay has. So if you want to click on that first card there, um, and you can go through and right now you can see some different people that have that's the opening day version. If you type in tops at the top though, it'll be the kind of the same. I think there may be more listings on that one. Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind clicking the first one. So what you'll see when you go to the product page is we have all the information about the card here. So we have a stock image front and back. So you can click the little red dots if you want. It'll flip them from front to back. You can also hover it over to expand. And then, so what that does is basically show you the stock images, and then you see all the sellers' listings in one spot. So the other thing on the side is that I don't know who's uploaded pictures on there. Some people on raw cards will choose to use our stock images, while other sellers will actually take pictures of their own cards. And so that what will happen is if you could find somebody that does have a card associated with it, it'll pop it up into that top left hand corner or whatever. So a lot of those guys may be using the stock images,
Yeah.
but the
I think you were telling me, showing me in our previous another meeting we had about that you can bulk upload for a whole set. I think a lot of people are probably using that to bulk upload, like this new product, right?
Correct. Yeah, yeah. And you could even with the bulk upload, you can associate your own photo. But the
Yeah.
big thing with this is that now it's really organized. So you can see, raw and graded. There's tabs at the top, so it doesn't look like there's any graded cards for this that are currently listed. But you can see raw. You can use the condition drop down to be able to filter by any conditions that are there, and you can see easily in one spot all the sellers. You can see that it's a new seller or what their feedback is, how many sales they've had, condition price, shipping price, quantity. It's all in one spot. So this really makes it easy for you to be able to compare and contrast similar in a lot of ways to like an Amazon, so that you can go through and see exactly what's there. And that really becomes useful on a lot of these cards that are $100 or less, where you may start to have a lot of inventory build up and want to be able to compare. And so that's really where the organization that we have on the site, kind of by using the data, it keeps it cleaner so that you don't have people that are throwing in all these different terms, eBay one of one, or this, that, or the other. It keeps it clean and concise. And like you said, it's all sports cards, so you're not going to see a signed picture, a signed baseball, an Xbox controller, all this stuff that you don't have any interest in.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. That's the I think one of the key differentiators for me is that it's strictly sports cards dedicated, and like you said, it's the whole database and inventory is just sports cards. So I think that's great for the hobby for sure. I mean, but now so let's talk about it. You're gonna have to eventually monetize the site, right? I mean,
Sure.
you can't just keep coming out of pocket for this in for eternity. You have to be able to at least maintain it, support it, and if it grows, big, that could come at quite a cost. I come from the tech world. I was a software engineer for about 10 years before kind of moving out of kind of semi-retiring here, doing what I'm doing, just working, working in
Yeah.
content creation and selling sports cards. So yeah, so what's the you know timeline for monetization, and what does it look like? What are your plans for that?
Sure. Yeah. So right now we're closing up September, so I feel pretty confident there won't be any fees through the end of this year. March is actually the 1 year anniversary of our site, so I honestly wouldn't be shocked if it continues to be free through that point. But at some point we will charge a fee. I think it'll be a few percent to start, so it's still going to be a fraction of what you're seeing on any of the other sites. But right now, one of the benefits of our site is that I have other businesses that I'm using to kind of subsidize the growth at this point. So, and with me owning the company, we actually didn't take any outside investment, and we didn't take any loans out. So I'm not under pressure to immediately start to squeeze our customers and cut corners and do things to do that. Ultimately, maybe it's just kind of my Midwestern beliefs, but I think that if you do things the right way in the long term, much more value will be there. And so, like I said, we'll probably charge a few percent at some point. But the 0% is really great because it's a quasi marketing budget as well. I mean, we've seen a lot of word of mouth spreading because, like I said, people know they get on and it's a free experience, and they like the site and they spread the word. And so, as much as we are spending some money on advertising or whatever else, I don't think that it makes a ton of sense at this point to, kind of steal from Peter to pay Paul, to take from our sellers and immediately give it to Facebook or Google or wherever else. If I can leave the money in the user's pocket and they kind of do the marketing for me because we've done a good job, that's worth its weight in gold, and it's going to be much better than just shoving another ad in their face. So
Yeah.
I think that maybe sometime in the next 3 to 6 months, but if it continues to be a good growth engine for us, and we can keep the costs maintainable, which at this point they are, and we don't foresee them getting out of control at this point, kind of based on how we built the site. Then, it might even be longer than that, but it won't be any time probably for the next 3 to 6 months minimum.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I can definitely vouch for the fact that you're coming from a sincere place of wanting to help the hobby, because you reached out to me, and you were mentioning, one of the reasons you reached out to me was because I'm not like trying to like just completely monetize everything,
Yeah.
take on all kinds of different things. Like I have another YouTube channel, which I know you're aware of, which is that one is monetized. I take a lot of sponsorships and paid stuff on that YouTube channel. It's an investing, stock market investing channel. On this one, this was a pure pure passion project. I've been collecting since the early '90s. Well, really like '89. I remember pulling some Griffey Junior Upper Deck
Yep.
rookies out of packs. And going to local hobby shops in my area, which weren't very many. And so, but that's what you had mentioned when you reached out to me, was that you saw the genuineness of my channel and what I'm doing here on YouTube. So I think that is speaks a lot to you as well, that you're not out here reaching out to the biggest channels to try to promote this, but you're looking for genuine people in the hobby.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And as I'm sure you know, and like I said, I own a local card store, so I'm not against making money on cards. We want to make it easier for our sellers to make money on cards, but I think that there's got to be an underlying passion and kind of admiration for the hobby and the things that it brings for people. Bringing people together, giving them something positive to spend their time and money on. I mean, it's stress relief for me and a lot of other people as well. So that's what I had said originally. Having followed your channel for a little while, is that I think that it's great that you kind of share those same values that I do, because I'm very passionate about the industry, and I've put my life savings behind this business, so and I'm not monetizing it at all at this point, and I've put more to risk than anybody, so I think that at a minimum, and I think the quality of our product should show how much we do care and understand the industry.
100%, 100%. So, are there any other features that you wanted to highlight before we move on to some other things? I'll bring the site back up. Yeah. So, I mean, anything else that you wanted to highlight about, like, how to, using the site? I guess what to you, we talked about the ability to see different parallels and stuff. What else differentiates it from some of the other selling platforms?
Yeah, so I really think the biggest thing is going to be the organization. So, for instance, if you wanted to, you can type in right here 2022 tops. You can keep that and just type in maybe Texas Rangers, um, so, something like that into the search, you can just start to see. I don't know if is your mouse moving?
There you go. Yeah. Oh, is it not sharing?
No.
Hold on. Let me reshare it.
Okay.
Um, see what's going on here. There we go. Okay. Yeah. There we go. There's Texas 22 tops Texas Rangers.
Yeah, and if you even put between tops and Texas Ranger, if you want to just do the base cards, so just type in base and then space. Yeah. And so, this is the kind of stuff that our site allows that I don't think other sites do. Because, like you said, it's really great for set collectors, player collectors, team collectors. The information and the organization is just really nice, so that you can go through here and see everything that's there. I mean, if you wanted, you can type in, 1975 tops base. There's just different kind of any of these things. Yeah, you can even leave Texas Rangers if you want, and you can just start to see how it really starts to open the possibilities, and save you a lot of time. I mean, one of the things that was, I think that a lot of people don't talk about is, I think there's a bigger problem that in a lot of cases, marketplaces are viewed more as an adversary than a partner. I mean, people hate most of the places that they sell on. They're very frustrated. They haven't had updates in a really long time. They're not very responsive. But ultimately, I think as a marketplace, you really should be acting more as a partner. And one of the ways in which you do that is you make things easier for people to buy. And there's been many times that I've been on sites like eBay, and you go through and you spend 5-10 minutes looking for something, and it's so frustrating because of the lack of organization, or the way that things are structured on the site, that I can't find the card and I just leave. And there's probably somewhere on that site that card's listed, but if I'm not able to find it and I give up, it doesn't really help the seller. And so I think that the way in which that we have stuff like this organized is really beneficial, for people that are looking to find cards to buy, and that helps the seller and the buyer. And you had mentioned before, just from the informational standpoint, if you want to type in the search we had before that, 2018 Prism Parallel Luca, if you want
Yeah, I'll do that
to,
in a second. Let me chime in real quick on something though. On this, like a vintage, or they're all set builders. So
yep,
this is I didn't even know about this little feature, because you could build team sets, and and they do that. A lot of vintage collectors just build team sets and sell team sets. This is a great feature for sure.
yeah.
Um,
The other one you can do too, if you wouldn't mind, just leave tops and base, and you can remove the year in that. And if you want to type in, let's say Albert Pujols. So some people may say, I want to collect every tops base Albert Pujols card, and you can go use the sort by if you want to sort it. Oldest, you can sort it oldest to newest on the right top. Yep, you can sort it oldest to newest, um, and then you can sit there and say, okay, there are all the tops base cards from the flagship top set for Albert Pujols. And once again, I mean, these are features that our site has that no other site has, because of the structure that we've used and the fact that we've really refined the search to be beneficial. And so that's where now any of those cards that have listing, they're all kind of bucketed in that one spot. But it's great for set collectors, team collectors, player collectors. And like I said, that's really where we're seeing most of our growth in users at this point, is these cars that are $100 and less, a couple $100 and less, because that's where there's going to be more cards that are out there, and there's going to be more people that are buying those cards and can afford them, especially kind of in the economy we're in now.
Yeah, and I did see some a little bit higher end as well when I was searching
Yeah,
around, for sure, and there may be some actual arbitrage opportunities here on this site, where people would, because they're selling, they don't have seller fees, so if you could
yeah.
probably you could submit some offers and get some pretty good deals, I'm sure. So that's just something on the flipping side of things, right?
No, that's true. Yeah, we definitely do see that a lot of the benefit of having no fees, they're willing to pass some of that along to the buyers, which is great.
Yeah. So what would you want me to type?
So if you wanted to type in 2018 Prism Parallel Luca, and this will be kind of the last thing I'll just highlight here with the
Spell it wrong again.
yeah. This will be the last thing we'll target here with the search, and then we can kind of go into some of the other stuff. So this is another thing, just from an informational standpoint, where you're going to be able to go through and say, okay, Prism has way too many parallels now. I don't know what anything is. What's the difference between purple and purple pulsar and purple ice and purple fast break, all these different ones. And so once again, it's just a way that the data is really digestible. It's something that you're not going to get on any other site. I think the way that not only having the data in the first place, but also the way in which we organize it is far superior to anything else that's out there. And so I really hope that beyond just being a place that people are easily able to buy and sell cars, that it can also be something that's informational, because we do have a lot of data. And I think the way in which we structure it is very, very friendly. So
Yeah.
I think this kind of shows another way beyond just collecting a specific player or set or team, that you
Right.
can learn about individual sets.
Yeah, and I think this will also. I mean, this is an eye opener to see how many different rookies of
Yeah, it may
this.
be scary. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have
Yeah,
told you.
nah. I mean, hey, some people need to have their eyes open to this. I mean, I recently opened. Well, sorry, I recently purchased a collection, and it was late '90s, early 2000s stuff, and I was just going through and all of the players that didn't make it, and then it was kind
Yeah,
of a little bit of an epiphany for me, which is one of those things inherently I knew and know, but as I'm going through this collection, I'm like, this really some of the stuff in like 2005 or something like that. I was like, this really isn't that long ago, and all of these are, a good deal of this stuff is just about worthless, unless
yeah,
someone's really wants this to finish a set or something. So that has really kind of changed my what I'm targeting as far as to buy and sell and then to have an inventory is not it's got to be more proven players is what I'm moving into. In other
yeah.
words, yeah. So yeah. So how about as far as buyer and seller protections? I know that's a big deal. I've seen your Facebook ads, and that's the comments that come in. People asking about those. What do they
Yep.
look like, and how do you protect buyers and sellers?
Sure. So one of the things, like I said, I think that it's important, and you made a good the way that you phrased it is correct in my opinion. Is how do you protect both the buyer and the seller? And that's one of the things that you often see in the frustrations that are out there online. Is the sellers are almost always getting the short end of the stick. There are bad sellers out there. There are sellers that make mistakes, but there's also buyers that make mistakes, and there's bad buyers that are trying to exploit some of the more lenient policies on other sites. And so one of the things that we did is that we set the rule that all sales on the website are final. The exception to this, and where a buyer is going to be protected, is if the item you received was damaged in transit, if you received it in an obviously different condition than you bought it in, if you received the wrong cards. Those are all things you have 72 hours after receiving the item to notify the seller of. We kind of cut it at 72 hours because we don't want somebody to get hurt 3 weeks from now, and now you're saying you want to return the card. Like I said, I kind of go back, but I know you're a stock guy. It's like buying, Apple stock on E-Trade, and then they have their earnings and they don't do well, and it's down 10%. You can't say, well, it's still one share of Apple, let me return it, because the prices are moving so much. And
Right.
so we want to be able to stop some of that. In the case that there's counterfeiting, we're not holding people to the kind of the 72-day. I mean, there's going to be some things you have to submit to prove that it was counterfeit. And I think the longer that it goes on, hopefully that the documentation would be there so that we can make a correct assessment. But as a buyer, you'll always be protected against counterfeiting. Um, but it really comes back once again to protecting the sellers as well. So we keep internally, both buyers and sellers, kind of a scoring system that we have to make sure that we don't have problematic people that are getting on the site and repeatedly ripping people off. Same thing for sellers with feedback and other things that we have on the site. And so I think that at this point we've not had any sort of an issue. Things have been resolved pretty upfront. And that's the thing that it always comes back to is most buyers and sellers are online buying cards because they love cards. They love the industry. They're not bad people. You kind of see the stuff that gets out there and rubs people the wrong way. Some of the bad eBay comments or whatever else that messages, but ultimately most people are good. And I think that by putting kind of these rules in place and letting people know when they sign up, this is the way that we're doing things, that they're less likely to kind of try to exploit us on those fronts. So we haven't had issues with it, which is something I'm proud of. But we constantly monitor and look for new ways to improve it as well.
Great. Yeah, that's good. I will say something. I went over your FAQs, and something that had me kind of just all kind of happy to see was um maybe I'll show it real quick. I'll go over here. I'll show people how to get to the FAQs. Let me share my screen again. Um, Here we go. So yeah, get to FAQs down at the bottom here. Um, so let's see, where is it at? Selling. Uh, no, it's offers. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh yeah,
This
yeah,
this is fabulous. So it says to protect our sellers when a buyer sends an offer, BSC is given approval to charge the buyer selected payment immediately if the seller accepts the offer. So I
yep.
mean that should be default on any platform, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it seems like an obvious thing. And that's really why, we went through and looked at the sites. And to be honest, I wouldn't have built buysportscars.com if I felt like any of the sites that were out there were really that close. I mean, if it was just one thing in the policies that I found to be, oh, this is annoying. If eBay just did this, then there's no reason to have BSC. I wouldn't have a business. So but ultimately, one of the things that we do is when you check out, you're charged. It's not, I buy it and now I get however long I want to pay for it, or same thing, you send an offer. To send an offer on the website, you have to have a payment method that's on hand. And you basically do a checkbox with kind of the terms that says, look, when you send this offer, if it's accepted, and the other thing that we give is we give the buyer the opportunity at any point after sending the offer that they can cancel it before a seller responds. So it's fair to them if they say an hour later, I don't really want this card anymore, then they're able to cancel that. But if and when a seller accepts the offer, they're immediately charged to the credit card that they have on file that's stored through Stripe. So we don't have any of that information ourselves, but we hit the API basically, and it charges them. And so that way, the order becomes an order. The seller knows that the funds have been received by BSC, and the buyer knows whenever they submit the offer, like, look, as long as I don't cancel this, it's going to be something that if it's accepted, that I'll be charged for. So you've got to, you're not playing games when you're getting on sending offers. So and I know you had kind of mentioned, and we kind of went off on a tangent before a little bit, about kind of how to use the search and stuff. Did you want to talk a little bit about kind of the growth of the website and things like that?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So, right, yeah, we kind of got off on a couple different things, but yeah, like, so the current growth of it. How many sellers do you have? How many users do you have? And then where do you see that going in the future, or what kind of scale do you think you can have?
sure. So yeah, the big one I'll start with, and that's one of the things people always ask about. So right now, as we're kind of shooting this, we're about to cross 2.9 million cards that have been listed on the website, and our site's been live for 6 months. So if you look at that, our site was actually the fastest ever past kind of every million threshold. We're about to pass 3 million, and we'll be the fastest to 3 million as well. But that's the equivalent right now to one card every 6 seconds that's been listed on our website if you break it out. Um, and so, we've shown pretty tremendous growth. I think that by having things like the bulk upload tool, which, one of the things that we talked a lot about how the data benefits the buyer, but in terms of benefiting the seller, because we have a catalog that has the player's name, the card number, the team, the set, the year, all of that. As a buyer, you don't have to type that information when you list a card. And so you can list cards in seconds. If you use our bulk upload tool, we'll provide a checklist for you to say, here's 2022 top space cards. And you can just go down the line like an Excel spreadsheet. We actually have default pricing if you want to say, I want to charge 25 cents on everything. And you can just go dump all the prices in, enter the quantities, enter your pictures. And so, we've provided a lot of tools that we see tons of people listing these base cards and kind of more common cards. Like I said, typically stuff is under a couple $100s. We do have cards that get into the thousands, but a lot of the volume and where most of the 2.9 million are cards that are $100 and less, and that's really where most people are buying. And so we've seen pretty tremendous growth from sellers that are listing in there. So right now, our overall user growth on the website, we've been growing 23% week over week. So I know that you're a stock guy, so I'm sure you're familiar with the rule of 72. If you take our user growth with the rule of 72, every 3 weeks for the last 6 months, we've been doubling our user base on the website. And so if I'm not going to get into too much the numbers have started to get pretty big though, but if you get into, and compounding, if you're growing and doubling your user base every 3 weeks, things are picking up pretty quickly. And so, we've even seen, as much as it's been a down market, last month was our biggest month ever for sales and orders and new signups. This month, we're up 90% on those metrics over last month at this point. So things are continuing to grow really quickly. And, I think that it would be easier kind of having some of the tailwinds that maybe a few of the other sites that popped up earlier than us had. But I think that by doing the right things and really valuing the user, providing them a great experience and not charging them for it at all, we've seen pretty tremendous growth, and we're really proud of it because it allows us to get tons of feedback as well. Because we just want to keep, improving and being the best site possible.
Yeah, and that does kind of lead into because we are coming up on about a half hour, so try to keep this short enough to keep everyone engaged here. But we were talking offline, and you just mentioned that feedback, and it is a new app, and and especially me being I was a front end developer over the years, so I always got picked apart. Everything I did was picked apart by QA, and
Yep.
when we're going through to go live, it was always there was always things. So and even beforehand, I was giving some feedback to you, and you were like, "Well, we're already working on it." So, but I would say anyone who has goes over, signs up, starts using the site, if there's something, drop a comment here in our comment section, leave feedback. I'm sure Connor will come back and be reading these comments of this video, or I'm sure you have a way where you can have feedback submitted. How would they submit feedback for you for the site?
Yep. Yeah. Feel free. We have our support email. We have a great team that's very responsive. Typically, we'll respond within a few hours. So that's support@buysportscards.com. If you have any feedback, it's definitely appreciated. Like I said, we're really passionate. I care a lot. It's something that's important to me. And, at a certain point, it's like I feel like I've got the experience as somebody that's a collector and somebody that owns a store. And, I had the means to be able to do it. And so we decided to build a site. And it's not perfect. I think it's better than the other competitors that we have by a lot in some regards. But we constantly want to keep improving. So if there's anything that you would like us to add to the site that's kind of stays true to our mission of making it easier to buy and sell sports cards online, please feel free to send it. We would definitely love any feedback so that we can continue to improve the site. And there's a lot of things that users have suggested that we've been able to implement, and it makes the experience better for everybody.
Perfect. Well, everyone out there watching, go ahead and go sign up today and go check out the site. I think I'm going to use the tool to bulk upload a bunch of these commons I got. Go
Yep.
ahead and just to get the ball rolling and maybe help some set builders. Actually, that recent collection that I purchased, it also had some vintage in there. So
Okay.
so those are like, how do you sell them? What do you and also it's like, if I bring those to a show with all of the other things I got, it doesn't really mix that well. So I think uploading them as for set collectors will be something cool to do. So I think that'll be where I start at, is uploading my vintage commons here on the site. So
No,
um,
that makes sense. And yeah, the last thing I'll leave you with is maybe a little bit of a teaser of something that we have coming in the next month. So one of the things that we have for sellers is that we actually have built-in shipping labels the same way that eBay does, that have discounted rates. So you're able to, print tracking labels, get insurance, be able to do, signature or delivery confirmation when purchasing labels on the website. So you don't have to use a third party. I'm pretty sure we're the only site that actually has that besides eBay. But sometime within the next month, we think that we'll be adding an equivalent to like the eBay standard envelope as well. So, if you're somebody that does have a lot of these commons, often we kind of get feedback that says, hey, it's hard with, tracked shipping. If you get a big order, it's going to be 3, 4, $5, but you don't want to, charge that on every order. So in the next month, we should be passing along an offering, which is going to be the equivalent to kind of the eBay standard envelope, which has tracking for about $1 for letters on small orders. So we're really excited to get that. And I think that could be something that'll help you with some of these vintage cards and commons that you have.
that's excellent. Yeah, and that'll be really cool. I did remember seeing you mention that somewhere. So
Yep.
very very cool. Well, Connor, I really appreciate your time coming on here and sharing kind of the story and about the app. And I hope people go check it out, and give them a follow on all the platforms as well.
Yep. Well, thank you, Jason. I really do appreciate it. And keep kind of doing the stuff that you're doing. You're doing a great job here on YouTube.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Yep. You too. Bye.